Do you ever wonder if a record you're looking at really is for your ancestor? Maybe it's the right name, but you just aren't sure if it's the right person. You want to get it correct because you want your ancestors on your family tree and not just some random people who happen to have the same name. In this video, I'm going to show you things to look for as you're exploring your genealogy, including why just a name isn't enough. And I'm going to do that with a real-life example of sorting out 2 marriages, 2 sets of children, and figuring out if the wife in both families is the same woman or not. Our story starts in Ohio in February 1877, when Mary Elizabeth Stewart married Lytle Hall. Their family grew quickly. They had twins William and Sarah in December of 1877, but the marriage didn't last long. By 1880, Mary and the children were living with Mary's brother, and Lytle was back living with his parents. Several online trees list Mary as going on to marry Reuben Carr in 1884. But the question is that really the same person? Is the Mary Stewart who married and had 2 children with Lytle Hall the same Mary Stewart who married Reuben Carr? One big problem is how common her name is. In 1880, there were almost 1,000 females just in Ohio with a name similar to Mary Elizabeth Stewart. That means that I need to look at something besides just her name and come up with other ways to identify her. I need to look at what else is in the records and see if I can pull out information that will either confirm or refute it being the same person. Let's start with the marriage records. It would be really handy if the marriage records listed the names of the bride's parents, because if the parents were the same on both marriage records, that would prove that it's the same bride. Unfortunately, neither of these marriage records name the parents. There's also a little bugaboo with the Reuben Carr marriage record. Mary is marrying as Miss Mary Stewart. If she was married before, wouldn't she be using her married name and not her maiden name? Shouldn't she be getting remarried as Mary Hall rather than as Mary Stewart? Normally, that would be the case, and that's definitely something that you want to keep an eye out for. But context in genealogy is crucial, and that means looking at other records. Here's Mary in the 1880 census. She's living with her brother Frank, and she's listed as Mary E. Stewart, and it's noted that she's divorced. Her children are listed as William and Sadie Hall. Sadie is a common nickname for Sarah. With them having the surname of Hall, I'm confident that this census record is the right Mary Stewart. And this census is evidence that Mary went back to using her maiden name after her marriage to Lytle Hall ended. But does this prove that she's the same woman who married Reuben Carr? No, because I still only have the same name. It comes down to identity. And a name is just part of a person's identity. Think of all the ways that you could describe someone or describe yourself, whether that's age, birthplace, occupation, religion, race, relationships. We can put all of that information to use when we're sorting out if a record really is for our ancestor. So what about Mary Hall and Mary Carr? What could I use to build their identities, which would help me tell if they're the same woman or not? The 1880 census says that Mary Stewart Hall was born in Virginia about 1856, and also that she's African American. The Reuben Carr marriage record really didn't give me anything like that to compare it to, so I needed to find something else. I found Reuben and Mary Carr in the 1900 census. It would have been really nice had one of the Hall children, either William or Sadie, been in the household. It would have shown Mary as the wife of Reuben Carr and at the same time the mother of the Hall children, and would have proven that it was the same Mary. Unfortunately, the Hall children weren't living with them in 1900 or 1910 or 1920. The information about Mary Carr is consistent with what I saw about Mary Stewart Hall in terms of age, birthplace, and race, but it isn't conclusive. So far, there isn't anything that is ruling out them being the same person, but there also isn't anything really confirming it. And since there were still more records that I could look at, I decided to keep looking before I made a conclusion. In 1940, Mary Carr was 85 years old and living with her daughter Sadie Hawkins and Sadie's 2 sons. Sadie. That name sounds familiar. Mary Stewart and Lytle Hall had a daughter named Sarah in 1877, and remember, she was called Sadie in 1880. Well, the Sadie in 1940 is the right age, and she was born in the right place. Could she be the link that we need to connect the Halls with the Carrs? Well, from the 1940 census, it looks like Sadie had been married at least twice. Her sons had the surname of Deloche, and her surname was Hawkins. I found the marriage record of Miss Sarah Hall marrying Charles Deloche. Their marriage record lists Sarah's parents as Lytle Hall and Mary Stewart. And when Sadie later married Lee Hawkins, she again listed her parents as Lytle Hall and Mary Stewart. And the 1940 census identifies Sadie's mother as Mary Carr. The Mary Stewart who married Lytle Hall and the Mary Stewart who married Reuben Carr was the same woman. It is so important to look at more than just the name on the record. And it's one of the best habits that you can develop as you explore your family history. In this video, I describe 5 other genealogy habits that can help you find even more of your ancestors. Check that out and go make some great discoveries in your family history.